Good morning from Houston, Texas. I wanted to just kind of share some pearls of wisdom that I personally learned from my ride yesterday. My husband and I went on, I guess you could say, our official first group ride out to the iconic Louis Mueller's barbecue out in Taylor, Texas. And wonderful, wonderful barbecue. It was really good. Enjoyed that. It was worth the ride. 3 hour, about a 3 hour ride, I think, going out there. But let me just say this first. I never want to not hear my husband's voice in my headset. I love him. He's my best friend, and the whole point of us doing this journey together, this season in this season of our marriage, after being married over this September 2nd will be 33 years, being married that long, is to enjoy this season of our life together. So we're empty nesters, raised our kids, good God-fearing, productive adults, doing what they need to do. So we're able to enjoy this time together. So with that being said, yesterday, leaving the barbecue place and heading back to Texas, the group that we were riding out with, we got separated, and I think it was about seven of us. So four of us made it through the light. I was the last one that got through the light. My husband and two other riders they didn't make it through the light. So I communicated to him in my headset, hey, you want me to pull over? Because I'm thinking, when we left out that morning, some of us didn't make it through the light, and the group that we were riding with, they pulled over and waited for them to get through the light, and we all got reconnected and journeyed on. So I'm thinking that that's what they're gonna do. So my husband says, well, no, we'll catch up, go ahead on and ride. So we're riding, getting going, and they turn down this stretch of highway, and I mean, they were hauling it. And this is no fault on their part. This is my lesson. I'm owning it. And like I said, I want to share what I'm learning, because hopefully what I learned and I share will make a new rider that much more of a better rider, in their journey. So I'm just sharing my pearls of wisdom. So it's no fault on their own. They turned that corner and they were booking it. And so I'm finding myself having to do 75, 80 miles an hour to keep up with them through these hills, through the wind. The wind was horrible. It's a beautiful ride, but the wind was absolutely horrible. And for those of you that ride the Spiders, and I have a Spider F3T, so I'm muscling it. I'm doing what I've been taught. I'm working and I'm doing what I need to do, but I'm also fighting the hills and the curves with the wind on me. And then on top of that, mentally, I don't have other riders behind me. I was the last person. They're hauling ass in front of me. I don't hear my husband's voice in my ear. I'm on a stretch of highway that I'm unfamiliar with because I didn't have the route mapped out to get back home. So I'm just like, so many things are going on in my head till I just freaked out, and I found a stretch of the highway that I just pulled over. I was like, the hell with that. Let them go and do what they need to do. I need to pull over. I need a minute so I can call my husband and find out where they are, because we didn't stop and let them catch up. I don't know if anybody's communicating that. I don't even know if they realized that they didn't make the light. And so I pulled over and get out my phone, and I called my husband, and thank God he answered, and he was like, where are you? I was like, well, we pulled over on the side of the highway. I pulled over, they're gone. And I think I said they left me, and so he started freaking out because he's like, wait, what do you mean they left you? And so I had to communicate later on, they didn't leave me. I left them. I left them. Let's get that straight. I left the pack. The pack didn't leave me, because technically, like my husband said once we got home and talked about it, My bike is equipped to keep up with the Harley Davidsons. I could have kept up with them. Matter of fact, once we all did meet back up and we were headed home, we did 80 to 85 on the interstate coming back home, and I was like right on their behinds. I mean, I was there. So like he like we talked about when we got home, it was all mental. And so the lesson for me was, in that moment, once I got home and regrouped and thought about everything, stay with the pack. That's one lesson one. Stay with the pack, no matter what it looks like. Stay with the pack. Don't get separated, because I did pull over. I stopped. I didn't know where my husband was. The guys that were riding in front of me, like I said, they were hauling ass. As I pulled over and got my husband on the phone, I did see another motorcycle approaching me, and I was like, oh, hell, here comes somebody about to bother me. And come to find out, it was one of the guys that did notice that I wasn't behind him, and they turned around and they all came back and, found out what was going on, and they all regrouped and communicated to the three that missed the light that they were going to wait at this gas station at a certain part of in one of the little towns. We would wait there for them. So got all that straight. But the lesson in that was, I got in my head, I freaked out, I left the pack, and that was something that I shouldn't have done. There are going to be rides that we're going to go on that may happen now, and I realize that. There's also going to be rides that my husband won't be riding on those rides with me. There's going to be ladies' rides that's just only ladies. And so, that's something that I need to take ownership of. And like I said, just own my own stuff. Own my ride. I wrote that down. Own your ride. And what I mean by own your ride is be responsible for, we know now we're getting mounts, cell phone mounts for our bikes, so I can have my phone exposed, so I can go ahead on and be able to communicate with my phone if I need to, because I actually had to pull over, get my phone out of the little compartment on top of my bike, and then take my gloves off and make a phone call. So we're going to get phone mounts for our bikes. Also, even though the group that we ride with may have a route mapped out to get back home, we're going to have our own responsibility. We're going to take that responsibility upon ourselves and have our own ride mapped out back home. So again, like we said, we're going to own our ride. Even though we're riding with a group, and because we noticed we got there and everything was fine, but then going back home, everybody lives in certain areas, and so they break off as they ride out and get back home, or some of them want to do other things while they're out there in those parts of the ride, and so we may just want to come straight back home. So prior to going, we're going to map out our own route back home, so we'll know, oh, okay, ride is over, we're done eating, we're getting ready to get on our bikes and head back home. Boom, this is the route that we're taking. So 2 lessons so far. Stay with the pack, no matter what it looks like. Okay. And then own your ride. Map out your ride. Make sure you have cell phone mounts, cell phone chargers, all that stuff. What my husband did communicate to me once we got home was he didn't have cell phone signal. So we got to figure that out. How to better communicate if we're out in those parts of the ride in the country where we don't have cell phone signal and we need to communicate. Also, no blind rides, and I guess that go to owning your rides, and what I mean by no blind rides, don't just, and this is for me personally, this is just me, my lesson, take what you will with it, but what I mean by no blind rides is what I said by owning your ride. Make sure that I personally have that route on my phone, so I'll know how to get back home, because like my husband said once we got home, he's like, if you were more confident in your ride and you had owned your ride, you could have said, hell, meet me back at the house, I'm headed home, y'all got separated, I'm going back home. and I'm capable of doing that. And so, like I said, no blind rides. Have your stuff worked out, mapped out when you get ready to go on these group rides for yourself, or even if you're just going riding solo. you know have your plan thoroughly mapped out. Own it. Don't follow people blindly. you know and as a new rider, you know that's something that we're learning to do. Just don't follow blindly. Now we're learning to um, map out the rides for ourselves beforehand, so we'll know how to get back home for ourselves if everybody breaks off or whatever. Another thing that happened when we were headed there, um, my husband almost ran out of gas in his bike, and I was getting really low on gas as well. And so we learned from that, and some of the other riders were getting low on gas as well. So what we learned in that instance is when we do stop at a gas station, or as they call it, have a bio break, we will be filling up. We will be topping off every stop. I think the second time that I topped off while I was waiting for them to catch up with us, when I left the pack, I topped off my tank while I was waiting there with the other riders, and it was like $3. But I was like, you know what? From now on, if we stop, I'm topping my tank off, because we were really riding out in some rural areas where, I kid you not, I was literally praying for a gas station. And just so happened, I mean, my husband was like on a click. He probably was on fumes. And we got through a certain part of the ride and then opened up, and we start seeing all these houses and everything, and then turned the corner, boom, gas station right on the corner. We made it there. And so, again, when you're on those group rides and you stop at a gas station, top off your tank. Matter of fact, I'm even checking into getting a little container to just have extra gas on my bike when we're doing these long rides, because we were really out in the middle of nowhere and there was nothing in sight. And if for some instance that we do run out of gas, at least we got something to pour in the tank to get us a little further down the road. We're going to look in that safety issue, because I don't know if that's something that's doable, traveling with gas on your bike or whatever, but we'll check into that. But anyway, I just wanted to share the pearls of wisdom that I learned yesterday on my bike, because, like I said, I truly believe, when you share the lessons that you learn, it helps other riders become more knowledgeable in their ride. You'll be a safer rider. You'll be a wiser rider. And to me, when you're a safer rider and a wiser rider, you'll be able to enjoy the ride a little bit better. So anyway, those are my lessons that I learned from the ride out to Lewis Mueller Barbecue out in Taylor, Texas. It was an absolute beautiful ride. I mean, absolutely gorgeous. I mean, the hills were literally like a roller coaster, and coming into the curves, and it was everything a spider begs for in a ride. I think Miss Kavatica enjoyed her ride yesterday. I know I did. So yeah, that was my lessons from my first official group ride. I think it was 354. Ooh, I added a lot onto that. I think it was 354 miles yesterday, round trip. So anyway, it was a good ride. It was a ride packed with lessons, and I hope you guys will take those lessons and learn from it, or at least take my lessons and learn from it. So anyway, you guys have a beautiful Sunday. Ride safe, be blessed, and above all, I hope your rides will allow you to stay sweet in your spirit. I love you, God. I love you all, and yeah, have a beautiful day.